Rotus Odiri joins us live from Ghana to give us update on the ongoing Africa Development Bank annual meetings. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Genix. Nice to hear your voice. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning,
boy.
Good morning to all our viewers. We are boots. We are boots on the ground in Accra for the 57th annual meeting of the African Development Bank Group. The theme of this meeting is climate resilience and a just energy transition. What does a just energy transition mean for the African continent? We've been talking about this for months. It was just last week or a couple weeks ago, where on the morning show on the African Business Update, we're discussing Vice President Osibanjo's op-ed in The Economist, where he was calling out the West for hypocrisy on climate change and on, not just climate change, on energy transition, and about saying the fact that Nigeria in particular needs $400 billion above and beyond business as usual spending in order for a smooth climate transition, energy transition to happen. So that's the focus of the African Development Bank Group meetings. There's a whole lot of other discussions that are taking place. Today, for instance, the main draw for today is a discussion on Africa's development opportunities and challenges. That's what's going to be going on, I believe, between 11:15 and about 1:15 p.m., which Ghana is on GMT time. So that's about 12:15 to 2:15 Nigeria time. That's what's going to be going on today. But there's a whole lot of other things that are being discussed. The African Development Bank, for example, has approved over $1 billion for a food initiative, a fund that is supposed to assist a number of countries on the African continent that are being impacted by the food shortages in the war, by the war in Ukraine, by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. There was also about $500 million that was approved there. Boston Amofai on the Global Business Report broke that yesterday. $500 million for women-led SMEs. So the African Development Bank is just, it's a game of whack-a-mole where there's just a whole lot of fires that need to be put out. But the main theme that is being discussed this week from yesterday up until the 27th of May is a just climate resilience and a just energy transition. So lots of conversations going on here at the Accra International Convention Center in the commercial capital of Ghana.
Well, two things, Rotus. I hope you're enjoying Accra and we'll get a good dose of kenke and Ghanaian jollof. But don't forget Nigerian jollof. We make the best jollof. But that's just by the way. But I was going to ask you.
No argument there. No arguments. No arguments.
Well, this is the first, person-to-person, conference of the African Development Bank in about 2 years because of the pandemic. The African Development Bank had been holding, virtual meetings. But the emphasis on climate change resilience and also the energy transition. I don't know whether the conversation has started around that, but we all know that the energy transition will take time. But the other day, you yourself brought an essay by Vice President Osibanjo, who was talking about, what the international community can do with regard to Africa and how this energy transition, will have to be redefined in terms of investments, in terms of support, in terms of global solidarity. I think as the summit, the general meeting of the AFDB continues, we would like to know what is being said in that direction and how African countries can be helped in terms of their vulnerability with regard to climate change, which has become a big issue in Australia. That's one issue, just produced a new leader in Australia in the person of Antonio Alibasisi. Okay. Now, the second thing was the report that you filed in earlier about the Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the CBN. And I've seen analysis by Cowrie Asset Management, AfriInvest, West Africa Limited, and also by Financial Derivatives. Financial Derivatives is very firm in saying that given inflationary trends, it's a no-brainer that rates have to be raised, the MPR has to go up by at least 50 basis points from 11.50 to 12%. Okay, what should we expect? The meeting ends today. Okay, what's your projection? A dovish stance, the same accommodative stance, that we have had since September 2020, or the CBN, adjusting itself. Carry Access Management is saying, well, maybe this way, maybe that way. Afrivest, West Africa Limited is also talking from both sides of the map. None of the analysts, except financial derivatives, Bismarck Rewani, has been very definite in saying, look, we think the rates should go up at least by 50 basis points. What are your expectations?
All right, let me start with your first question on the African Development Bank and whether or not that energy transition conversation is going to take place today. I believe it will, because today they're going to be talking about the specific presidential dialogue today is on Africa's development challenges and opportunities. The fossil fuel industry is definitely going to come up. The jobs that could be lost with a transition that is too quick, and an understanding of where the fossil fuel industry stands. So that is definitely going to be front and center when the African Development Bank dialogue begins. From about 11 to about 1 o'clock this afternoon. 2 sessions, 2 45-minute sessions, I believe, of 2 sessions of an hour each, I believe. So that is going to be front and center. Remember, at COP26 in Glasgow, South Africa got an $8.5 billion package to assist them with energy transition. So COP27 in Egypt this year, that's going to be looked at. Vice President Osibanjo of Nigeria said that more packages need to be given to the African continent and spread across and scaled. So that is going to be front and center here, and we're going to be covering that as well. To the Monetary Policy Committee, yeah, look, Doctor, I'm back to it. It was actually Coronation Merchant Bank, not Cowrie. It was Coronation Merchant Bank. Chinwe Egim, who is the senior chief economist at Coronation. Yeah, it's a little tough because with the GDP figures that just came out yesterday, that supports the Monetary Policy Committee's accommodative stance to say, hey, look, the interventions that have been taking place in the Nigerian economy, they are seeping in slowly but surely. So you're seeing GDP growth continue at a slow pace, but I think 3.11% for Q1 year on year. It supports the accommodative stance. However, the inflation pressures are there. So you know what? If you hold a gun to my head, I say they hike. They'll probably hike. Because look, even we're here in Accra just yesterday, the Monetary Policy Committee in here in Ghana, they hiked by another 200 basis points. Now they're at 19%. They hiked by, it was 17.5 at the prior meeting. So that's about over 400 basis points now in 2 meetings. So I think the pressure is on. And Dr. Ernest Addison, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, specifically said that inflation was the reason for why they are raising rates. It happened in South Africa, in Egypt, everywhere else. So I think I think the MPC is going to hike today. If they don't, then it'll probably be because of the GDP figures that they release, where they say, okay, the economy is still moving along, let's allow it to recover. But Rotus, business correspondent at Rice TV, I'm saying that they will hike. So let's see what happens.
We favor a hike at this point in time, Rotus. I think things predominantly need to cool down as regards, the inflation, and we need to manage this once and for all. But what's the mood like at Accra? I don't know if you got a chance to read it, but I think you should read it. It's a very interesting article. The Economist wrote a very damning article on the African Development Bank 5 days ago. And they're saying, is governance destroying the African Development Bank? Pretty much along that line. And they talked about the fact that even what the African Development Bank says is churning out, giving grants like the 1.5 billion you talked about, it pales in comparison to, International Development Association that gives about 15 billion, and they kept on talking about governance issues and the likes, little fight here and there, trying to put out fires like the whack-a-mole kind of thing, pops up everywhere. Problems with the African Development Bank. So what's the mood in general as they have these conversations? And maybe if you get a chance to talk to them, maybe you might want to get their reactions to the Economist article, which is a very lengthy read. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so the mood is defiance. The mood is a big wall against outsiders. The mood is that we're going to tell our own African story and not allow anybody to be what they call, I think, Akiyume Additional, in a series of tweets, a tweet storm, as they call it, that was released yesterday. He said we will not allow mischief makers to distract us. So the mood is defiant. The African Development is focused. Akiyume Additional has continually talked about the fact that the Board of Governors, they are behind him. Corporate governance standards are high. There was a poll that they carried out for employees of the African Development Bank group, I believe the poll was 85% or so, or 86%, almost 90% satisfied with the fact that they work here. So the mood is that, look, everybody's focused on the problems of Africa. Everybody is focused on climate change. Everybody's focused on energy transition. Everybody's focused on giving women more funds for that women-led SMEs funds, more money for countries that are being impacted by the food shortages around the world, and they will not be distracted by hit pieces in The Economist. That's the mood here.
Well, however, Rotus, I think the more exciting thing for me, perhaps, will be that $1.5 billion aid to address the challenge of food insecurity. And Akumi Adesina, the president of the AFDB, saying Africa can feed itself with pride, and that Africa, does not need to depend on food aid. Food crisis been, a major challenge in the world, even in Britain. We understand people are now operating a 101 formula, skipping meals, and there has been a rise in, shop market, shoplifting in the United Kingdom. And the IMF is also saying, look, because of Ukraine, there is a very serious challenge of food security. But in Africa also, we're told that there is a challenge of drought. So it's good to see the African Development Bank prioritizing the food crisis that affects, African countries, particularly now that we're going into a planting season. But beyond the support from the African Development Bank, we hope that policymakers in these 54 member states of the African Development Bank, will have the political will, the seriousness, even in a country like Nigeria that is going through a transition, to focus on serious issues rather than sentiments and politics.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rotus Odiri.
Very much agreed. Well said.
Thank you very much. Hope you bring more updates by tomorrow.